Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Here we go.
All right, folks, welcome back. It's time for the Malzberg panel, and joining us today, columnist for Breitbart.com and American thinker C. Edmund Wright, and Forbes contributor Carrie Sheffield. And I'll have you know, Carrie, that your boss will be on, your ultimate boss will be on with us a little bit later on, Steve Forbes. So I will report to him how you performed today here.
Oh, excellent. Tell him hello for me.
Will do. All right, to both of you, let's look at what was not voted on today in the House, and that is the Republican answer to the president's request for emergency aid for the border crisis. And the Republican bill had $659 million in it as opposed to $3.75 billion. It was for a certain amount of time. It also imposed some restrictions on policy to guide the president, if you will. Democrats weren't going to vote for it, so they needed to pass it with Republican votes. And because of the conservatives and the Tea Party members in the caucus, they could not get enough votes, so Boehner did not bring it up for a vote. They wanted even more restrictions on Obama's executive order ability to grant, status to illegals and have them stay here. So what exactly does this mean, Edmund? It's now dead until they come back, but Republicans now going to be blamed as going home without helping this humanitarian crisis?
Yeah, well, they may be, and if they do, John Boehner has nobody to blame but himself. The people who wrote this bill were ex-McCain staffers, people who, were known to reach across the aisle and work with Democrats. There was no way that group was going to come up, with a bill that was going to, get the conservative votes in Congress. So, frankly, the polling is turning against the president on this dramatically anyway. But if it does hurt the Republicans, it's John Boehner's fault.
Yeah, and Carrie, talk about that, but also Ted Cruz was whipping last night, if you will, against the Boehner border bill. Say that 3 times fast, the Boehner border bill.
Well, I tell you who I think the bigger culprit here in all this. It's obviously President Obama. And, Congresswoman Kay Granger pointed something out here, and that is that Obama and the rest of the mainstream media, and let's be honest, the mainstream media is 80 to 90% people who identify as liberal or Democrat, according to the Media Research Center. The media is creating this myth that we need to conflate this humanitarian crisis with overall immigration reform, and they are completely 2 different things, and Obama is trying to blame the Republicans, and I think that's where we should be pointing the blame.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Something else that did pass the House last night, of course, and that's the lawsuit, support for the lawsuit by John Boehner and the Congress against President Obama. Carrie, you think this is the right way to go?
Well, that's what I'm worried about, too. I agree with the merits of the case in the sense that this does seem to be a extreme reach of executive authority. And this is the same thing that the liberals were saying about George W. Bush, except for this is black and white. It's in the law, and he is just completely continuing to flout that. So regardless of the merits, the media is going to whip this up as some sort of witch hunt, and it's happening right before the election. So I'm actually worried about what this could mean for the Senate.
Edmund?
Yeah, another mistake by John Boehner. He is so traumatized from the Clinton impeachment, and he got the wrong lesson from that. If you're going to impeach somebody or you're going to sue somebody like this, you better do it with both barrels blazing, no apologies, pedal to the metal, or don't do it at all. And what this was is kind of a half measure. It's the worst possible thing you could do. You should go full force or don't go at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go lawsuit, first of all, as has been alluded to here, there's more than just the Affordable Care Act changes. There are several changes, and why he only chose to focus on one, I really don't understand.
Well, the other problem is that the media, again, the liberal Democratic media is going to conflate this lawsuit with impeachment as well. I mean, the Republicans are not doing impeachment action, but they're trying in the voters' minds. Unless you follow it like us, the political junkies, where it's 24/7 for us, your average voter, in their mind, in a swing state, they might just think, oh, it's those dumb Republicans again. When it's a very tailored, and I agree that this could have been done in a much better way, and especially with the timing with regard to the election. I'm just worried about the conflation here.
And you know who's leading the charge here? True, the liberal media is picking up with it and running, but I have a Give Me Five commentary where Sheila Jackson Lee and Nancy Pelosi and Debbie Wasserman Schultz are all included. But I think you got to hear, I want you both to hear, and the folks to watch, Sheila Jackson Lee on the floor of the House yesterday. And there's an irony here, which I'll get to in a second, but watch.
I ask my colleagues to oppose this resolution, for it is, in fact, a veiled attempt for impeachment, and it undermines the law that allows a president to do his job. A historical fact that President Bush pushed this nation into a war. It had little to do with apprehending terrorists. We did not seek an impeachment of President Bush because, as an executive, he had his authority. President Obama has the authority.
All right, well, the problem with that is that when Dennis Kucinich put forth the bill to impeach George W. Bush, the reports I have and the information I have is that Sheila Jackson Lee was one of a few co-sponsors to impeach George W. Bush.
Yeah, well, and she also said that we went to war, and it was liberals and Democrats who voted for that war, including John Kerry and Hillary Clinton. So she has no ground to be standing upon. And this has nothing to do with impeachment. This is totally separate. This is a fundraising pitch. The Democrats want to make millions of dollars off this myth, this meme of impeachment.
Edmund, you know, you never know what they're going to say on the left, do you?
Right. Well, you mentioned three people that I'm not sure between them have a discernible IQ of 100 combined. You know, but the situation. Obama admitted last week in a fundraiser in Los Angeles that their voters were low information voters, didn't even know there was a midterm coming up. I mean, he didn't say he was admitting they were low information voters, but that's what he meant. And Sheila Jackson Lee is appealing to that base, trying to gin them up, turn them out, and raise some money. There wasn't a single syllable she said that was actually accurate.
All right, folks, we're going to come back with C. Edmund Wright and Carrie Sheffield for part 2 of the Malzberg panel. We'll throw in some foreign affairs and news from the Middle East as well. And speaking of news, keep tuned right here for your Newsmax Now update, which is coming your way next. And it's all right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, part 2 of the Malzberg panel. Want to reach us? Here's how you do it.